Wrestling fans, international star versus international star. Ray Horus, the legend, the history behind this man and his family lineage, going against Steve Anthony with, unfortunately, our sidekick Chris Harper by his side. But Steve Anthony, no slouch to the international scene. This man has wrestled all over the world and has quite the resume built up so far. This is Benjamin Jason Wood alongside Joel Gertner, and you are in for an action-packed match for the #1 contendership for the Revolution Championship.
Yeah, one of these guys is hopeful to try to take it to Bestia Seis, and in doing so, try to take the Revolution Championship from him. Nobody has been successful.
And Ray Horus, no stranger to Bestia Seis. These two men have locked up many times before. This should be an interesting matchup.
On all different soil, they've competed against each other, and as we know, Ray Horus, part of the Mysterio family, or the Mysterio dynasty, son of the original Rey Mysterio Sr.
The card you stacked against me is there no Republicans in the house? Everybody's Democrat.
And you can see that history and that lineage in his style when he's in the ring, move after move. Just a pleasure to watch. If you've got something to do, you don't want to leave your seat right now, because this is going to be a match talked about for a long time. Both men feeling each other out. The first time these two competitors have ever stepped inside the squared circle together.
Yeah, real exclusive here at Wildkat, because they've never fought each other, these two. And in and of himself, Ray Horus, and you'll see this, is an authentic Mexican luchador. Like you said, very much familiar and stylistically similar to Bestia Seis. But that's the thing, you know, with Bestia Seis, he's the longest reigning Revolution champion, and that means he has indeed gone through not only other luchadors, but also quite a few American-style pro wrestlers. We've seen him dispatch Mike Dell recently.
Huge bullseye on Bestia Seis's back. Every man in that weight class gunning for that championship title to strip him from the longest reigning. Everybody wants a shot, because the title itself is a stepping stone to the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes, indeed, but up till now, he has been super impressive.
Technical move after technical move. Steve Anthony showing exactly the caliber of athlete that he is.
Steve Anthony accomplished, well accomplished in this region for sure, and throughout the professional wrestling world. A name, a great talent, looking to become Wildkat Revolution champion. That would perhaps be amongst his career highlights.
Extensive tours in Japan, also a head trainer for Harley Race and his program out in the Midwest. This man's done it all, Steve Anthony.
To a well-educated wrestling fan, the fact that he was a trainer for Harley Race is really all you need to say.
Showing that style right now. He's got a firm grip on the wrist lock. Ray Horus gets the reverse quickly, and just like that, Steve Anthony in charge again. And you have to assume by both these men's styles that you're going to see a lot of reversals and a lot of back and forth in this match. Steve Anthony with the clear-cut size and strength advantage, but you would have to say that the skill and speed advantage might go to Ray Horus.
We shall soon see both of these men, the assets, the attributes, the talents that they possess, both of them well-rounded, both of them well-traveled. It's really anybody's. That's what makes this such an intriguing match, is that it's anybody's guess who might win. It's going to be whoever's better today. It's going to be case by case like that. And again, there's really no way of even trying to scout it from the past, get a historical indication, because this is the first time these men have ever faced each other.
And a nice flip over. Ray Horus getting the best of the test of strength so far, turns it into a top armbar. He's got that elbow bent backwards, putting a lot of pressure on the elbow joint and the shoulder.
I mean, if I'm strong and I've got great tensile strength and I know how to apply pressure, I can do something to you that is the way your arm, your hand is inclined to move, and it will be painful. But a maneuver like that is not that. And a maneuver like that is taking that part of the body in a way that it's not supposed to move. It's an unnatural motion, and when you do that with force, it's highly effective and highly painful.
Nice springboard move, works it into the arm drag. And the action is picking up to a faster pace right now. Hurricanrana,
just dizzying quick, it's amazing.
so quick you can barely keep your eyes on it. Both men go for the drop kick and miss. Both men nip up, squaring face to face, and Steve Anthony in a corner kind of referring to his manager, Chris Harper, for a little bit of advice right now. Got to be a little bit perplexed as to how quick Ray Horus is moving in the ring.
Great success for these men if what they were striving for at that moment in that time was synchronized pro wrestling and an Olympic medal. But that's not what they were looking for. They were looking to out-chess the other man, and instead they both went to the same well at the same time.
There's no timeout in pro wrestling, but Steve Anthony on the outside milking it for as much as he can get. Referee with a very slow count.
Anthony now back in the ring, but like you said, slowly.
Both men picking up where they left off, feeling each other out and going again for the test of strength. But no, Steve Anthony's not going to allow that to happen this time. Cuts his opponent off with vicious shots, and Ray Horus is down on the mat.
And you saw Ray Horus fall into those ropes, kind of take those ropes, right? The middle and the bottom, right? He didn't even touch the top rope. A testament to his size, and of course that's something that you've seen from the Mysterio family time and time again.
Roll through after roll through.
Oh,
a vicious clothesline out of the corner, spins his body, and now Steve Anthony going to town.
We just saw if Steve Anthony does not indeed call it the decapitator, he should.
Building up between these two men, but I think that level of respect just went right out the window.
Well, I'm going to follow you and say that clothesline we just saw, if Steve Anthony does not indeed call it the decapitator, he should.
Now adding insult to injury, rubbing that forearm right into the bridge of the nose, and that can really cause some discomfort, especially while wearing a mask.
Oh my gosh, without question. You pay the price and you sacrifice when you wear that mask. You do give up a little bit off of your breathing and your oxygen intake and your exhalation, and also your peripheral vision as well.
And Joel, you have an extensive intellect on the history of the mask as far as its credentials and what it means to professional wrestling. Can you fill the fans in a little bit on that lineage?
Well, culturally, luchadors are known to be heroes. There have been luchador priests and saints. There have been luchador guards and members of the neighborhood watch types. So in effect, you're able to become, I get, whoa!
Big leap to the outside, almost a spear taking him off his feet. And Ray Horus is down and out.
And it's ironic to be talking about luchadors as heroes after he suffers that from Steve Anthony. But yeah, to finish the thought, a luchador is, we've got a saying, I guess, right? In standard American English, we say that not every superhero wears a cape. And if you flip that a little bit, you get the lucha culture part of why the mask comes into play, because somebody can be quite the normal, individual, just neighborhood guy, citizen during the day, and then perhaps at night they go to Arena Mexico or wherever they ply their trade, or they see something in the neighborhood happening that's untoward that should not be, and they've got the mask on and they come in and they save the day. So of course, to a luchador, the worst thing that can happen is that they get stripped of that mask.
Steve Anthony taking it to Ray Horus on the outside, smashing his head into the hardwood floor. No give on that hardwood floor, and Steve Anthony has gained control of this contest.
Like they used to say old school back in 1990s wrestling, there is no blue mat, there is no padding. That is a basketball court. It is parquet, it is lacquered hardwood, and it does not feel good.
And Anthony continuing to drill Ray Horus with shots to the chest and neck. This in itself is a strategy to wear his opponent down, and it's a good strategy keeping Ray Horus off of his feet right now. You take away the high-flying ability to the high flyer, and you're left with a ground tactical effort, and Ray Horus really doesn't have much behind him right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you know, if need be, he could, I'm sure, get it done, possibly against Steve Anthony, you never know, but possibly with just a ground game, but not without being able to breathe at full capacity.
We have a 2 count and a kick out. We just saw Steve Anthony paying a little homage to Rick Rude with the swivel hip.
And that's fine by me, but it's not going to be fine by him and his family and his getting the winner's share of the purse if he decides to take Ray Horus lightly and let up in any way, shape, or form. He needs to keep it up.
And this is definitely Steve Anthony's pace of the match, slowing things down, in control, wearing his opponent down. We've seen this time and time again.
Smart wrestling. I mean, if you've taught within the Harley Race system and machine, then obviously you've learned from Harley Race. So you would expect that same kind of wrestling to play into his overall strategy, his moveset.
Horus showing a bit of life right now. How long will it last? Into a backbreaker. Ray Horus having a real hard time right now finding his way around the ring. Nice drop kick. This could be it. Another 2 count, barely kicked out, barely got that shoulder up, and you can see the effects of the wear and tear on his body starting to show for Ray Horus. Really not much left in the tank at this point, barely getting that shoulder off the mat.
I'm guessing that it's been about 7 or 8 minutes, which in a wrestling match can be a long, long time, right? Because there's no breaks. It's not like football. It's not like baseball. It's been 7 or 8 minutes, not just time of possession, but since Ray Horus hasn't been off the defense and has gotten any kind of offense. And eventually, you're just going to get depleted down to 0. You're going to pass that point of where you can come back from, and you're going to wind up either getting pinned or submitted.
As we stated earlier, he's not a superhero, but a superstar in professional wrestling. The human anatomy alone is eventually going to wear and tear.
And then there's that other human aspect, that intangible, that X factor, and that's will. Discipline, determination, and Ray Horus showing it there, if not a little bit of adrenaline, but it doesn't matter. It's working for him right now, and now he's the one that needs to keep it up against Steve Anthony.
Catching a quick breather, but firing off, setting himself up for something, and what a leap to the outside. He just flipped completely over the turnbuckle to the outside floor on top. Wrestling fans, you are seeing an action-packed match. The action has not stopped. Like you said, 7-8 minutes of non-stop, both men going at each other. And now Steve Anthony looks a little worse for the wear. Chris Harper over shouting directions at Steve Anthony. I don't know how much that information is going to help right now when you can barely catch your breath on the outside. I think the last thing you'd want is Chris Harper in your ear. Little misdirection, back in the ring.
Steve Anthony looked for a moment like he wanted to be anywhere but in that ring. He wanted to get away.
Another 2 count, just didn't have enough on the hook of that leg. Still feeling the effects of the earlier abuse from the match.
And I imagine that would be a hard-body Harper call. I imagine that would be a Chris Harper audible. Why don't you just try to stay out of the ring for a moment?
You know, regardless of who he has in his corner, Steve Anthony's such an accomplished athlete. You know, he really doesn't need the direction of a Chris Harper behind him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Nice roll up there. What's he setting up for something else? Flips him over. Beautiful chin breaker. Super kick to the jaw. Steve Anthony off his feet. This could be all if he goes for the pin. And here we got it. 1, 2, and oh! Almost a 3 count.
In the grand scheme of things, though, don't you think that really everybody that aligns themselves with Hardbody Harper would be best served not to really have his, let's call it, help and assistance? You know, the world would be a better place, yeah.
Nonetheless, the advantage goes to having a third person on the outside. And Ray Horus showing signs of life once again, seems to have a second or possible third wind. Once again, flip over after counter move we're seeing. Connects with that kick to the face. I don't know if he squarely got all of it, but maybe enough to get the 3 count. And no, it's just another 2.
It's amazing, you know, usually wrestling is a little bit more methodical and deliberate, right? It's chess, it's a long term, it's an end game, it's a mid game. But here, and it's impressive that Steve Anthony's included in it, because with a luchador, you'd expect it, right? With somebody Ray Horus' size, you'd expect it. With Steve Anthony and Ray Horus together, what's happening is it's action reaction. It's lightning quick, and it's not even so much like chess, it's almost like fencing.
And the fans getting behind Ray Horus. The Wildkat wrestling crowd coming alive, trying to surge their fan favorite on. Once again, Steve Anthony cuts him off, sets him up for a reverse, no? Ray Horus behind now, Steve Anthony behind. And nobody has the advantage in this match thus far. It's counter after counter, beautiful spin kick. That might be enough. We've seen several big kicks, several counters that lead to a big move. Somehow he rolls him back over and now goes for the count himself. So hard to stay with this action, both men back and forth. What a contest we've seen here so far.
I'd love to say it's one of the best matches that we've ever seen in the history of Wildkat's Revolution division, but honestly, this is, to an extent, I hate to say it, par for the course, because all of the Revolution matches always have the potential to break out into this, an absolute spectacular.
And if your eyes are failing you, your ears sure won't, because you can hear the crowd's anticipation. Steve Anthony going to the top high-risk maneuver.
Wow. Oh!
Kind of saved himself a little.
But that could hurt you depending on the angle.
Oh, what a kick to the face. Now Steve Anthony still sitting on the top rope is unbelievable right now. Ray Horus setting up for something big. You can feel it. Now both men on the top rope. And what a hurricanrana off the top. Will this be all? And yes, it is, wrestling fans. Ray Horus with a big victory over Steve Anthony. Going on to be the #1 challenger for the Revolution Championship. And that is a match that you will want to mark your calendars for. Joel Gertner, Bestia 666, the Revolution.